All right. Welcome to Sophia's Emporium. It's me, Suze, your holistic stylist and buddy through thick and thin, right? Okay. So I'm going to zip over to the prophetic destiny of Missouri. One of my 5 pages that I don't know how to run properly or keep upright or, do what the other people do so well. But talking about St. Louis, we do need to get all this covered real quick. This was, I guess it was a few hours ago, but I published it 1 hour ago. And it's Elliot Davis, Fox 2 News' post. And this is about today's blood sacrifice. And this would be why the protests were canceled. Okay. Tonight has been an especially bloody night in St. Louis, one of the most dangerous cities in America. This as the innocent victims get younger and younger. There are St. Louisans whose lives are shattered by cold-blooded criminals. Gunfire raged all over this town. That's more reminiscent of the Wild West. After a shooting in the 2100 block of Adelaide tonight, a man brought 2 kids to the hospital. One of them, a 6-year-old boy, was shot in the head. He is in critical condition. The man who brought him had been shot in the leg. Another child, an 8-year-old, was also in the car but wasn't hurt. Police put crime scene tape all around the car after it got to the hospital. But the violence was just starting. A man shot on Wabata drove himself to the hospital where he later died. And in yet more gunfire. This one in the 5,000 block of Aubert. One man is killed, another hurt. All this violence in just one evening in St. Louis. The total homicides for the year will jump to more than 144 murders. Tag that number. It's very cryptic. It's not showing any signs of letting up. The amazing thing is, despite all the carnage, despite all the heartache this is causing so many families, like that of the 6-year-old shot tonight, or there's 24-year-old Tamara Collier. She may be paralyzed for life after a bullet fired by criminals who wounded 2 police officers went into her house and struck her in the neck, with the 1-year-old by her side. And we cannot forget 7-year-old Dania Irving, who was in the vehicle with her parents when a ruthless gunman killed her parents and another man in the car, and a bullet hit the 7-year-old in the head. She struggles to recover. Now she must live without her parents. The daughter of Tamara Collier will not be able to enjoy her mom in the same way as before because of uncaring criminals. And tonight a 6-year-old fighting for his life. And yet, where is the outrage? And he goes on a little bit more. And we end up, I'm going to skip a couple paragraphs. It says, but it's the 800-pound gorilla in the room that everyone tries to ignore or pretend it doesn't exist, or that it's a figment of everyone's imagination. But it's not. It's real. It's claiming new victims every day and night that are getting younger and younger. Here are the latest grim numbers just released by St. Louis Police Department. Of the 141 murders in the city in 2017, 117 were African American. 0 were were Asian, 1 was Hispanic, 7 were white. Of the murder suspects, 96 were black, 0 was Asian, 0 were Hispanic, and 0 were white. I'm not making this up, he says. It's real, it must be dealt with. Yet there's no outrage, no protest, no demands for a solution. With the exception of family and friends of the victims, these killings and serious woundings are met with only silence from most of the community, who just seem to be just waiting for the next police-involved shooting for outrage to kick in. Certainly, these other lives count too. Well, what I have to say about this is, yes, that script is true, but this elephant you speak of in the room, Mr. Davis, you know good and well, is what is running this whole planet. It has nothing to do with just St. Louis. St. Louis is an easy target because most, see, we're the divided state of Missouri, you got to remember. Half of the state, it was fine. Go ahead, have your slaves. The other half of the state, now that wasn't, kosher, and you couldn't do that. Do you see the setup from the start? The way they put people together, segment them into neighborhoods, run the neighborhoods down, push people into other neighborhoods, and all of a sudden you think you got a color problem. And it's not. It's actually a different kind of a refugee crisis. And this started long ago. And believe it or not, this was back in the days where the white people were slaves too. They didn't give a shit what color you were. And they ran people out of Europe, out of their homes. They were rounded up, murdered, tried as witches, tried as people that did not go along with the church. Many, many things. Now, in the meantime, back to our town. See, this is one of the future homes of the mega cities now. And they need to make it look like this is a great place to come. All the young people should come and set up here. They're going to knock down all the old shit and build new stuff for you. You believe that? They got swampland in Florida for you too. But nobody likes their town or their city or their neighborhood or their street to look like an undesirable place. So thus we have the whitewashing of history, and we try to make things not look as bad as they are. And I think it's right, it's so Amazon comes here. What the fuck does Amazon care? They're going to have a big metal building that they're going to get tax-free for 7 years. They're going to get all sorts of perks and deals. They could really care less. As long as they have a nice restaurant to go to. Kind of like all our malls are closed down. So if you look at the West County Mall incident, you say, I can't believe that happened in West County. Well, blow me sideways. All the malls are gone in North County. There's nowhere for people to go shop. I mean, what do you want to do? Put up a line, or maybe see what their socioeconomic status is, and they get let in the mall, if they make the right amount of money. See, this is where the bullshit comes in, Mr. Davis. And, funny enough, and I mean, it's really not funny. Believe it or not, we have a young, angry black friend, you know, a guy, and he really didn't know, for example, that the majority of, you know, dark-skinned brothers, you know, are in a certain area in the Midwest, and the way it kind of runs across the United States like that. And I never thought anything about it because I've only lived here my entire life. But see, St. Louis is one of those towns where there's a majority of ethnicity that's always been here. They made it a war from the start, and that was purposely done. Because, like in the movie Bulworth, and I keep telling you guys, I got way more in common with my black brothers and sisters, my Asian brothers and sisters, my Spanish brothers and sisters, all of them, than I do the elitists that are destroying the entire world. It's not just Ferguson or St. Louis, you ding-dongs. It's everywhere. And this is what we're dealing with. So, even though it's really sad, and it looks like it's all about black on black crime, you know, and everybody wants to blame the black man, it is so wrong. And you got to understand, it's a trap. It's a setup. So, some people get this, right? Now, earlier on today, I started out the morning with a wild live stream. And one of my friends, Kanedra, you know, she's always up to something, right? Wonder if she's on this live stream, I can't tell. But anyhow, we had a conversation, and, you know, every time I try to invite her on the phone, something will happen and the transmission will blow out, and I lose my live stream. So, probably about 10 minutes after that, she shared one of her friends' posts, and then I turned around and shared it. But this is from Marty, Cade, Casey, and this is 13 hours ago. And it says, let's shout out our white friends who are standing with us. They deserve to be recognized. And what I said was gratitude, appreciation, and love to all y'all. Very colorful approach, Kanedra R. Woods. All lives matter is colorful. And that's what I said. Okay. Now, I love this because, well, you know, I shared it a year ago, right? And in my mind, when I shared it, I really did think it was the old Schoolhouse Rock. But let me show you what it is. And it's from www.facebook.com/anonews.co. It's very interesting. This cartoon was so true. Saturday Night Live banned it. Deregulation.
They own networks from CBS to CNBC. They can use them to say whatever they please.
Right.
And put down the opinions of anyone who disagrees. Or stuff about TCBs. What are PCBs? They come from electric power plants built by Westinghouse and GE.
Hmm.
They can give you lots of cancer that can hurt your body.
Hmm.
But at the TV, you rarely hear anything bad about the nuclear industry. Like when Westinghouse was sued for fraud, which time?
Right.
Defective bolts, it was an unreported crime. Or when it was boycotted for operating nuclear bomb plants just to squeeze a dime.
That's a foot, no fight away.
A Would no protect you from folks who doubt what you say. Now maybe the voices in my head will go away. But the big shots don't care. They're all sitting pretty thanks to corporate welfare. What's that now?
Oh, I'll explain it, don't worry.
From the government, it's supposed to create jobs, but that's not how it's spent. They use taxes on money to support congressmen who will overlap the programs again and again and let them dump toxic waste where the young ones play.
Like Westlake landfill. Is that what you mean? Where everybody played ball that grew up in Hazelwood? Thank God I grew up in the ghetto in North County, y'all.
That's what I miss it, I want you to know. So you know it's all part of me. Why you take North McDonald's away? Now don't be fooled. Me and Mary went to the same
Alrighty then. So let me use a perfect example here in, North County and Ferguson, right down the street at Highway 70 and Florissant Road. Now, everybody was thrilled when Express Scripts decided to come to St. Louis, right? Because you see it's going to bring in so much money. And it's also going to clean up the ghetto, right? So you see Express Scripts got 7 years free ride, no taxes, come in, do your thing. Cleans it up, makes UMSL look a little safer, right? I guess until Mike Brown was slain, right? Then the enrollment dropped, I think, almost 50%. That was the word at the time. Maybe it's come back now. But what they do is they take these rundown areas, you see, and it doesn't matter about the people that live there. They move on, they wipe the land out, build something that nobody else can ever occupy. I mean, you can't break a building up that big to turn it into an incubator unit for small businesses or anything. I mean, you can't even find a space in a normal mall location these days where an independent small business person is allowed. So even when I heard the thing last night about the loop and everything, you got to realize those aren't the same kind of small businesses as when I was going to Rocky Horror Picture Show, run by an individual. These are LLCs, limited liability. They're small corporate ventures, and they are, what do you call it? When you buy into a franchise, right? You take somebody's recipes for making something marginal and you follow it, but because they have a big name, you're popular. And so, that's how all the pizza joints and Great Clips and different things work these days. Yeah, buy into a franchise. So, personally, my own self, see, I'm going to have to keep telling you guys, you need to look a little deeper at this St. Louis thing. It all goes back, I'm telling you, to the whole experiments that they chose to put St. Louis under in the year 1940. We were going to be a place where all these different toxic wastes would be dumped, not in lined places, very secret-like, and they call it a slow kill. They want to see how long it'd take to affect the people, what kind of birth defects the kids have, what kind of learning disabilities. And you say, why would somebody do that? I mean, St. Louis is up and coming. I mean, it's a great place to relocate. And, we want everybody to come here, especially the young people that are going to have kids. Really. I mean, and you're afraid of what a little um, unrest is going to do. How will they ever explain the Manhattan Project? How will they ever explain we were the first secret city? I mean, how can they keep destroying us over and over again just to build some imaginary bullshit for somebody to come have a concert that isn't even showing up? You get what I'm saying? Oh, I don't know if you guys know, last night too, the Casino Queen got hit over on the east side. That's all we need is another casino too. Now, I want to read you something I wrote 1 year ago. And I like to say, when it matters, confirmation of spirit, phenomenon, progress. So I say, hi friends, review your life and open your hearts. As children, we were programmed. Our punishment came in a variety of ways. Some of us obeyed the ever command of our oppressors. Some of us would engage in long talks with them, hoping they would change their policies or learn something from the shared lesson. We carry this through life and inflict it on others at times, another aspect of the program. In my experience, first it was parents, then friends and peers. Luckily, my teachers must have known that they could not affect me in a way I would not participate in. As an adult and a self-employed individual, it was my hope to reduce this static to an inaudible range and empower others to how to just say no. After being hit upside the head with so much oppression via others' shortcomings, it became easier to disconnect. As an empath, it was purely self-survival that my creator God gifted me with this talent. Otherwise, otherwise I wouldn't be here. Oh wait, otherwise my energy would have been vampired and my energy misused by other fantasies. Through those who continued on in the program through me by thought me cold, right, when I would not speak to them directly. You see, whether in our blood families or spiritual alliances, with connections of all flavors, this is unacceptable to the abusers. How will they not starve to death? How would they deal with the silence? This morning I received another letter from the very family who had the opportunity to see me, hear me, and come to understand where I was coming from. The never-ending story of my life chart details the accounts of emotionally, physically disconnecting from a plethora of events involving what means the most to me, the persons, places, and things I love. If I were not able to do this with the 6 heart virtues and love in my heart, the false ego would have won, and I would have never been able to stay true. Even now, the false ego of the folks penning this letter should review the exact words to make sure they have all their facts straight. This is an opportunity to deal with things that will follow you into eternity. Okay. I hope you guys all know about the 9/11 thing already. I mean, I think anybody that hangs out with me should already know. Here's Sweet Molly. Earth Dance Organic Farms with little Marie. Here, let's look at what's positive about Ferguson.
Marie has already been eating her vegetables, as you might be able to see from her shirt. Marie, what were you just eating? Tomato. Yeah, she, without even being offered, what did you do? You didn't even just grab a little one. You grabbed a big one. Over there. And you ate it like an apple. So, okay, Marie, where can people buy all of these beautiful organic, certified organic vegetables?
You can say it. Come
At
on.
the Ferguson Farmers Market. At the market. And when is the market? It's tomorrow.
It's on
Tomorrow.
Saturdays.
Marie, you sing a song tomorrow, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you like that song.
Yeah.
Now, is it from 8 to noon? Oh my gosh, you have tomato seeds on your face. That's Farmer Eric. Say hi, Farmer Eric. He's been working hard all day harvesting these vegetables for all of our friends. So, Marie, the farmer's market starts at 8 o'clock. Are you going to be up that early?
No.
No, probably not. She's true. Sorry. You get to market a little late, don't you? Do you get to market a little later than 8? Yeah. But it's okay because the market goes all the way till noon, right? Yeah. So, okay, so let's show people what they can buy at market. Do you know how much anything is here? So this is, can you say $3? This is $3. This is This is $3. That is $3. That is $3. That is
So is it $3,
that
Molly?
is
$2.
no, that's $3 too. Except I think, Marie, what you were getting at is that if people buy 4 of these items,
Oh,
they get
Molly.
4 of them for $10.
You're awesome.
What a deal! Okay, so let's make sure everybody knows what they can fill up their market basket with. What
Hey,
is this?
does anybody know a nice guy for
Is it a
Molly?
fan?
She's single.
Yeah, you can use it as
And
one.
she's looking
it's
for a
beautiful,
prince.
it's like a rainbow.
She ain't gonna
Swiss
take no
chard.
bullshit.
Can you say
He's
chard?
got to work hard.
Chard. What
He's
is
got to
this
be true to
thing?
her.
This is like
So if
weighs as
anybody,
much
if
as you
anybody
do.
knows
What
anybody,
is that? Cabbage?
you need to hook a sister up.
Cabbage? Beautiful Napa cabbage? Okay. And what is this? What is this?
They need a clean bill of health too.
Salad mix. Yeah, you love to eat salad mix. And then if you want to leave it as a whole head, we've got lettuce as head lettuce instead of cut for you in the bag already. What are these, Marie? Something you want to eat? Peppers? You want to try it? Okay. See, kid approved. Do you like it? Yeah. Okay. Now these two are some of your favorites, I know. What are these? Onions, yeah. Red and
Is she
white
gonna take
onions.
a bite out of that
Do you
onion,
know what
Aunt
this
Molly?
is?
What's going on?
You smelled it earlier? What is that? That's mint. Really delicious to make a tea with. And then what do we have here? Parsley. Parsley's great to clean out that blood and to, that sounded weird. Parsley's really healthy for your body.
Isn't Molly
especially,
gonna make a great mom
especially
someday?
as a blood cleanser, really. So here
Yes,
we have
right,
some
Molly.
summer squash. Summer squash, that'll be good on the grill this weekend.
Hey, Molly,
And some
you
more
aren't
of
gonna
your
like
favorite
this, but I got something funny about
potatoes. Okay, you want to try one of these, Marie?
100 ways to do something, and
All right.
I think those vegetables are involved.
So where can they find all this tomorrow? You say, Mama told me to wait till I'm done chewing, didn't she?
Right?
Yeah,
Don't talk with your
okay.
mouth full.
You just keep chewing, and I want to make sure everybody knows where we are We are at Earth Dance. Okay, we won't put that back. We are at Earth Dance Organic Farm School here in Ferguson. And we sell all of these veggies at the Ferguson Farmers Market every Saturday morning. And did you know you can take a tour of the farm every Saturday morning? Do you want to take a tour tomorrow, Marie? At 11?
She runs the farm.
You can even take the Jolly Trolley from the farmer's market at 10:45 and get a free ride to the farm for a tour. Isn't that great? You want to tell all your friends about it? Yeah. So say, come on to the farm. Say, come on to the farmer's market. Okay, say thanks and eat your veggies. All right.
Molly. Love you guys.
To the end?
Well, I think I stopped.
No, you didn't stop it. Okay. That was great. So that's Molly at Earth Dance. Let's see. Oh, hey. 38 years ago, I started school at Lutheran High School North on September 6, 1979. That's nice. And then, of course, if you want to find out more about the bullshittery in Missouri, you can always check out the Missouri Accountability Project. Very noble cause. This is at Missouri Accountability Project community organization. And they're talking about a nuclear waste dump you can walk on. Like walking on water? I don't know. Weldon Springs, Missouri. Never been there myself. Now, of course, in Missouri, see, you don't have to worry about what part of the town it is because the EPA is draining the energy and disregarding humans in a town near you already. Pathetic. Pathetic. And how do you hide that from people? Or do you sell out a little bit more and bring the world headquarters of Pfizer Pharmaceutical here? And guess what they need to make all their drugs? Our water. It's true. Check it out. Oh, and how depressing. Being illegally evicted from a spot that I paid double of. That now Adobe Boozin' Art Gallery paint by number for inept artist is at 18 Church Street, where it used to be the Hair Emporium Salon Spa Wellness Center. But they didn't want me here in this town. Told me I'd never live and work here. Now, if I had somebody that would have stood up for me like this back then, maybe I'd still be there, but I like you girls. So this is Sofia Macintosh's video, and she is going to show you how to open up a can of whoop ass. Have some of this, y'all.
Good, because, you know, they done told y'all that y'all have a curfew tonight, and y'all cannot be out past 10 o'clock. Like y'all the bad kids who start breaking this stuff and stealing and all that. I'm letting y'all know right now, I'm on guard in my neighborhood. I'm walking up and down these streets, and they told y'all have to be in the house at 10 o'clock. From 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. It is on lockdown. It's a curfew. Can't nobody be outside. And I'm walking through my neighborhood. I'm protecting my neighborhood. Come over here and try to steal something. I don't have no mace. I couldn't make it to the store to get no mace because the store was closed. But I do have some rain. I'm going to spray your ass like I do them roaches and them ants.
That's right.
You come through my neighborhood. I don't care Even if you stepping on somebody's property and you ain't supposed to be on nobody's property in this neighborhood, I'm spraying. I'm just spraying. And I'm telling you parents right now, you better get your kids. You better get your kids. Because I'm treating kids like bugs and roaches if they come on my street. I'm walking up down this neighborhood. I wish a nigga would come down this street trying to get a TV or something to eat up my food. I'm waiting on y'all. I'm waiting on y'all. And you can see I got on my African American hat, baby, because it's serious now. It's serious. Y'all breaking this stuff. Get somewhere and sit down. What you running off with a TV? You ain't got no electricity at your house. The lights and stuff out. What you stealing the TV for? Get your ass somewhere and sit down. But come on my street. Come on my street. I dare you to come on my street. I'm waiting on you, baby. I'm waiting on you.
That's right.
Baby, you come over here talking about stealing something, I'm going to treat you like a flat tire. I'm going to fill your ass up with your hand. That's what I'm talking about. I ain't playing with her. I'm serious about it. Let me see.
Oh, I know you are.
Oh, she live over here. So I was going to spray her ass.
Well,
I was going to spray her ass, but she was trying to get it.
right, don't get a happy trigger finger, girl.
You better get your kids. This ain't a safe place for them. You think the storm and the hurricane got them going on.
No,
baby,
that's right.
Let them run into me tonight. Talking about they trying to steal. I got something for you, baby.
She give them the kung fu action. Now, the reason I bring this up is because, see, it's really silly for anybody to ever even consider giving up their weapons to defend themselves. And some people believe the only reason that this place we live, that's supposed to be America, the only reason it hasn't been taken over yet is because we are the wild, wild west and we refuse to give up our weapons. Now, as you see, you can use a can of Raid as a mace, and I'll tell you what a hairdresser uses. I'll give you one guess. Hairspray. You want to talk about fucking somebody up. Hit them with hairspray in their eyes. They don't like it. Now, when I first opened my hair salon a million years ago, back in the day, there was this big spider one day, and he was walking across the, where the shampoo is, and, the client's laying in the bowl, and there's this big spider. So what I did is I grabbed my can of hairspray, and I slowed him down. It's kind of like freezing something in suspended animation. And then you can go in for the removal of whatever that thing is that might hurt your loved one or yourself. So, it's like the line in Happy Gilmore. It was, guns don't kill people. He kills people. And he was the big guy with the metal teeth from the James Bond movie a long time ago. But I know you know what I mean. And I'll tell you what, I don't know why back in the day when the Mike Brown stuff went down, everybody was begging these Oathkeepers, please keep us safe. They were up on Pope's building, where I used to have a business before I got my head cut off. But anyhow, believe it or not, our own people then flipped around and said, get these jackasses off the roof. I still don't really know about that, but the Oathkeepers are a group consisting of former and current military, police, and firefighters that pledged to protect private businesses from arson and looting. And they abandoned their posts after they were threatened with being arrested. Oh, wait, you guys want to, actually hear a letter I wrote? Did anybody say that? Oh, sure they did. They said, Suze, please read us the letter you wrote. Now, We're going to go back to 2014. And of course, I did it my way, which is never popular. And this is a love letter to Ferguson, to Mayor James W. Knowles III, from Sue's Pratt at the Big Yellow House, 12 Royal, here Emporium, 18 Church Street. If there is any place on earth that could be healed, we believe this place is Ferguson, Missouri. Although I was an unknown whose rights have been violated, there were those who made sure our family had a chance to live, work, and pay taxes in our community of choice. And I'm referring to 2010, when they had the biggest upheaval in this town, when I was allowed to open my established business here. You know, the main hair shop had done favors, you know, like, I don't want to do this wrong, hang on. Is that what people do with their tongue in their cheek when they're, you know, talking about favors? Sexual favors, Miss Sherry. But anyhow, you didn't want me here, you sucked some dick. Next thing you know, I can't be here. I've already, you know, you guys are stuck with me. We got a house here. You see what I'm saying? And why am I so bad? Why can't someone come to a town? Oh, wait, hang on. I already know why I'm bad. I'm a redhead. I'm a redheaded witch, and I'm everybody's worst nightmare. That's right. Okay. Let's get on with it, Suze. It is said that you never get a second chance at a first impression, and y'all stole mine, you see? And that's what happens to every kid in this town, every mother, every father that is abused here in this town that you guys want everybody to think is fucking Mary Poppins land. I don't know what's wrong with you. But it's said that you never get a second chance at a first impression. Humanity across the globe is experiencing this karma in our times. Can we learn the lessons found in our own state's legacy? Can we create the change? Will we answer the call? It saddens us to see people so lost, afraid, or upset that they seek to judge and lay blame on who they feel is Mr. Obvious. I've been there. It's my life story. I speak from experience. So let's remember our mayor is no different than any of us. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. Now, you see, I reached out, and do you know that no one has had the courage to come and speak with me and get this thing healed? See, I was supposed to shut up and roll over and nobody would ever know. My life's already done to them. I've already paid my dues, but you see, I still breathe. And I need a way to serve my community, especially in these hard times. So, you know, if you want to talk to me about, oh my God, don't tarnish St. Louis's reputation. Oh my God, let small business have a chance again and quit acting like small business is anything over 6 figures. Blow me sideways. $100,000 for a self-employed person, are you high? Even if I worked 80 hours a week, I wouldn't do over 6 figures, right? Small business, taking care of yourself, taking care of your family, being able to make your bills. Not small business, paying off somebody to be able to be there. Right? Tell me I'm wrong. Piss me off. All right. And I'm really not. I am not judging. I'm being very loving and patient and kind and full of discernment. And like I said, talk to a white girl about being in the gutter. Don't think that it's just black people, because even the black people know the white people are suffering. So knock the shit off with the racial wars. Really. It's high time to put this shit to bed. And don't ever forget that in the 50s, so we're saying 60 years ago, believe it or not, a black person couldn't be in Ferguson after dark. So we were dealing with these things long before Mike Brown's mom ever even considered having him. All right. Now, like I said, I stood up for Mayor Knowles. And I can't believe that, considering he's the one that told me when they were working to keep me out of this town, when God's gift to Ferguson, the deceased Mayor Fletcher, told me I'd never get in his town and he'd never let me open the hair emporium. And I was sitting there crying. So why would you even say that to me? I mean, how could you say that you love everyone in this town? I mean, that goes down in your epitaph. You loved everybody. And just like you, James Knowles, you say that everybody is considered in this town. I have not been considered. I have been railroaded, blacklisted, targeted, abused, and I can't even volunteer and help kids tie-dye or make gingerbread houses. That's some bullshit. And oh yeah, while we're on the subject of bullshit in this town, one more thing real quick, because I'd hate to forget anything. Do you know that the building that we came here to live in, that a guy named Hurst runs, that owns a roofing company, that doesn't have to keep his building up, 25 South Florissant, mind you. Disgusting. See, they clean it up once a year because you got the big street fest, the big musical adventure of this town. Back when Street Fest, when we first got here, it was still a huge, great outdoor event. They even had rides for kids. You know, it went downhill, 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 and then there was always the problems. But you see, they'd always clean up the building across the street from where they have all the events, market, concerts, all of that. And that was a hub of this town. Now the money's moved down the street. So our Street Fest will be at 501, which is the only place that matters in this town. And unfortunately, they were some of the very people that didn't want me here. So ask me if I'm going to Street Fest. I'm going to tell you no. Sorry. So I guess that's about all I'm going to say. Oh, wait. No, I got one more thing. Since we're talking about love that knows no color or bounds. Here's my friend Courtney Brown, you know, from the Farsight Research Institute. I tell you guys, I do remote viewing work. And this is the head mentor guy, my redheaded friend, Courtney. And he has a black son. And so he goes on to explain how that's possible. So why don't we watch that? Maybe you guys haven't heard about it. We used to call them cookie babies. And of course, we're all cookie babies.
Okay, guys, so
all right, Courtney, let's do it.
So lots of questions are sent in. Here's my chance to answer some of those questions. So the first one, is Aziz Brown my son? Yes, of course he's my son. And he's my own flesh and blood. And I'm very proud of him. He just graduated from Emory University, and he had his first job teaching English in a large school in China. And now he's back, and that's great. So is Princess my daughter? No, she's not my daughter, but she was my remote viewing student. And you know, training never stops around here. So even with me, we try to push the boundaries, learn new things, trying new approaches. So I guess she'll always be my student. Okay, so when will Princess be back doing sessions? Well, she just had a beautiful baby boy, and so she took time off to let herself recuperate and take care of her son's needs. But she's starting to do sessions again, so expect great things from her. Okay, so here's another one. How did you, as a white guy, teach your son about race when he was growing up? Well, look, I never thought about it like that. He's just my son. So he's of the Courtney race, I suppose. But you do raise a good point. I was very careful raising him to keep him away from any type of racial thinking. In fact, he did not even know about color as an important factor when he was young. And he did not even recognize that he was a different color from me until he was 9 years old. And I clearly remember the day that I picked him up from Montessori school, and he ran up to me excitedly and said that he found out something new. He said that one of the kids in the school told him that he has a different skin color from me, and that makes him different from me in some way. And Aziz actually asked if I also knew about that. He actually thought that I did not know about that, and that he was telling me this new discovery for the very first time. So when that happened, I smiled when he told me that, because I remember that it took 9 years for him to know that there was such a thing as skin color, and that he had to be told this from somebody else. Now, to me, that meant that we were very successful in never talking about or thinking about race or skin color in our home, and that's the way I wanted it. He was my son, and that was the only thing I wanted him to know that was relevant to our relationship. Father and son, end of story. So I never taught Aziz about race. In fact, I did the opposite. I ignored race and just loved him.
Yep.
I would not have wanted it any other way. Okay, so here's a related question. Given all the racial stuff that's happening in the United States and the remote viewers seeing all the racial stuff in the Time Cross projects, how do I deal with that given that I have a interracial son? Okay, now remember that old Star Trek episode, Let That Be Your Last Battlefield? That was one of their best episodes. That was an episode in which there were two aliens who were from the same planet, but they were from different factions, and they were fighting each other to the death. Now, the aliens each had two colors to their skin, white on one side and black on the other. And one of the aliens eventually took over the Enterprise and forced it to return to their home planet. And once they got there, they discovered that everyone was dead. The two factions had totally destroyed one another. Captain Kirk and Spock and McCoy then said, "Why do you fight so much?" And the aliens were amazed that they could not see the obvious. One alien said then, "Can't you see? He's black on one side and white on the other." And the other was the reverse, black on the other side and white on the other side. So anyway, both aliens escaped to the surface, and they ended up killing one another, completely ending the race. So in my view, that is an example of polarized thinking, and that is precisely the problem that humans are trying to overcome on Earth. Humans have a natural tendency to see things in terms of friends and enemies. And then they rally all their available resources to protect themselves from their enemies. And humans, they always side up. Shiites versus Sunnis, black versus white, the Allies versus the Nazis, the communists versus the capitalists, the rich versus the poor, the Hutu versus the Tutsi, and on and on and on.
Right.
So wherever you have humans, you have polarization. And as technology increases, the final outcome will repeat itself without fail, which is the destruction of the entire species and probably the planet as well. So in my view, this is what happened on Mars long ago, which is why it is a dead planet now. Now, although the mainstream
people
is
out,
not reporting
Courtney.
this, there is
That red hair of
apparently clear radioisotope evidence on Mars that at one point in the distant past, there was at least one nuclear explosion on the surface, which would have finished off the atmosphere given a low gravity situation. So as far as I see it, they were us when we were there, and now we are here, and history repeats itself. So with regard to the current racial stuff, I look at all of that through the lens of recognizing that picking one side to defeat the other will never work. The outcome will always be the same eventually. So I don't think about race. I just look at people as people, wondering what cool things they're going to bring into my life. And I think my son does the same, and I suppose and hope he got that from me. At least I would like to think this. Now, remote viewing demonstrates absolutely that we are more than our physical bodies, so recognizing the reality of remote viewing is a huge leap towards ending that spiral of death. That polarized thinking will inevitably lead us as a species. Okay, the next one. Why don't you want people under 18 to learn remote viewing? Okay, now look, remote viewing is amazing, and it involves stuff that is so different from what's taught in high school and college. I don't want people to think, especially young people, that going to school is not important. I don't want them to get distracted. It's important to stay in school and to get good grades in order to have young people have their best chance at making a positive difference in their
Trade
lives.
school,
So
Courtney.
don't do drugs and stay in school. Focus on getting into college first. Remote viewing can always come after you get into college. Okay, next question. Is it true that you really don't know how to fly the drone? Yes, it is true. Aziz flies the drone, but he's telling me that I'm going to have to learn. You see, I brought a training drone home and I tried to fly it. And I literally watched it as it flew away. And then I bought another training drone and the propellers sort of bit me. Now, I understand that the Phantom 4 is easier to fly, and so Aziz is telling me that he's going to have to teach me how to fly it. So I expect one day to learn how to fly it, but it's not today. Okay, and what is this Farsight movie all about? Well, look, that's an ongoing project for us. So no one is going to tell our story except us. We are literally out to change this world and to be a better place. And that's a good place for us to stop the vlog for today. So I hope you keep watching the vlog and be sure to subscribe to our channel to see how the movie evolves. And I can assure you there are surprises in the works. There's lots of stuff we're going to be showing you you're not thinking about. So please remember to rent or buy the Farsight Mysteries projects also. That allows us to pay for our other activities, such as the Time Cross project. Without one, we don't get the other. We don't have any other source of funding for this sort of thing. So remember always to stay ahead of the curve. Let the mainstream fade in the dust. Be there now.
Staying ahead of the curve, right? So let's chat for just a couple minutes real quick about Courtney's remote viewing, his group, and what they saw when it comes to the Atlantis mystery. And I know a few people still bicker back and forth about whether that was an actual historical place or Lemuria. But anyhow, in this Atlantis story, you see, they were every bit as advanced as what we were, but in a different way. So, for example, their technology, they worked with the crystals, you know, like all my crystals. I know you guys. I went the wrong way. Stop share. Oh, you know. There, let me just open that up. And I'll get you a crystal. I know you guys know what they are. Come on. But anyhow, back in Atlantis, you see, they powered their computers and their technology with crystal. And for example, this is so rare now because Marcel Vogel has left his physicality, so he's not here to cut Vogel crystals anymore. There's a lot of people that do similar cut techniques, but believe it or not, Marcel knew so much about crystalline technology that he put, I call it like a safeguard switch in how he did his work. And if a Vogel crystal is misused, they say it will break on its own. And of course, clear quartz crystal is one of the hardest. So to break a piece of quartz isn't the easiest thing in the world. You get the idea. Now, say a quartz like this that's a little bit more white, a little bit more milky, they say that that would be a female energy quartz, versus this would be male because it's clear. And that doesn't mean that these have a sex. It's the energy that they put off, whether it's a feminine or a masculine. The male crystals are a little more hard and straight to the point, right? Okay. So anyhow, back in Atlantis, they misused the crystals, which really sucked. And over more by Australia, why did I take myself so far away? By Australia was where the colonies, where the families lived, and was more community. And then they say by Antarctica somewhere, amazingly enough, you know, was more their military operating base. And, you know, they loved to frack back then too, believe it or not. And so they were into doing explosions, kind of like we are. We like our underground nuclear testing. Or, hey, believe it or not, I just heard the other day, they're getting ready to do some big tests that I'm sure, you know, we'll have to pay for, with some kind of a metal dome. And then they're blowing shit up, you know, on the dome to make sure that whatever's in the dome doesn't get blown up. But considering that that's on our land, our air, our space, our Mother Earth, you can see that's offensive to the spirit as well. So back in the day, theoretically, when, you know, this terrible thing happened on Atlantis, it wasn't like people were hanging out on the surface, say like we all go and try to hang out in parks or public places that theoretically are for us and are safe. See, it was more dangerous back then. So they lived in caves. They had different things to keep them safe from the larger flying animals that might eat them for breakfast. So, or lunch or dinner. But anyhow, I always feel like I'm the girl that had to tell everybody there was 5 hours until Atlantis was sinking. And, you know, Courtney brings it up that they had 5 hours. So, you know, these people thought they would be safe in the bunkers and buildings. And believe me, they had elaborate transportation places, you know, that they could go and be. And so, of course, they all drowned. But in the meantime, what happened that was so interesting is that, okay, you guys have heard about these oceans that are receding. I mean, they're going, hey, where'd the bay go? You know, imagine a toilet flushing. Okay, so if you knock a hole in something, but it's a reverse vortex, right? It's like flushing your toilet and the water goes somewhere. Well, where the hell's the water go? See now, that's the $24 million question, isn't it? But you guys already know. I mean, the gossip and the word on the street is that, believe it or not, there is just so much more land beyond the ice cube of Antarctica that you've been told. And so there's some pristine real estate up there that all the hobnobbers are going to hang out in and leave everybody to fend for themselves. And, yeah, you know, of course, this has been a story for a long time, too. But I just wanted to illustrate that point because this is no more than a rinse and a repeat. So they can whitewash history, change pictures, change film footage, of course, watch you when you don't know you're being watched. And I've surely illustrated that point. And like I've told you guys, it doesn't have to be the devil knocking at your door. I found it to be something entirely different. And so I'm sure that people are terrified of me because I don't have the same daggum horror stories that everybody else has got. I'm telling you, even though I've been ripped off, tormented, spell cast on, and plotted against, I've been so blessed and so protected. So I'm not going to cry about the computer, but I am going to say that after these 3 years, and I'm not meaning to rag anybody out, you know I'm not. I think it is so sad that people didn't realize that their computer is the book of life. I mean, it is the tree of knowledge of good and evil. There's so much you can do, and you don't even have to take a class. You just open up your heart and help people and do whatever it is you do that first does no harm. Learn something, share something. I mean, that's all good. Okay, I want to play you guys a song and blow out of here and then start up another live stream, because this was one subject and then the other thing is an entirely different subject. All I want's a little song to go out on. Oh, it's not in my videos, is it? See, when you have thousands of things, you have to remember where it is. And I took things that I want to go back to on this list right here. Sue's on Off Planet TV with Randy Moggins. And you say, well, Suze, this has nothing to do with Randy. Well, in the end, everything has something to do with Randy Moggins. And I know that some of you still don't know who he is. Him and Emily Moyer, Off Planet Media. And he's the one that recruited me into speaking. You know, he interviewed me. He wasn't the one that brought me into the computer in the beginning when the phenomena hit. See, now I'm going to attribute that to the same energy that communicates with me through the Presley mystery. They turned my computer around and interacted with me. Bottom line, basic, simple way to put it. And that's why for 36 months, I've definitely been between worlds and feel better than I ever have. So don't ever worry about what's in my head. I'm very well, thank you. And it's all going to be okay, is the best I can tell you. Now, in this list, one more thing that's interesting, if you guys are ever bored. Nobody should be bored right now. This is wild. So Uri Geller is a huge name in remote viewing. And I actually have the clip of when he was on The Tonight Show back in the day. And I was a little disappointed with my buddy Johnny Carson because he gave Uri such a hard way to go. And see, that's why they mock psychics and intuits and remote viewers, because when they ask them to perform like circus animals, it won't work. Just like me behind the chair. You know, people used to get a certain amount of energetic exchange out of me when I would take all my energy to tell a story. And I tell a story very well. And back when I had 200-300 clients, I had to tell a story 200-300 times. And I tell my clients that are still with me, that still tolerate me, I say, you know, I'm not going to tell you the story behind the chair while I'm doing a tricolor weave with highlights and lowlights and your gray touch up and do your haircut and perform like a chimpanzee. Go to my YouTube channel and fucking watch the video. That's why I make all of these witness testimony things. So anyhow, Uri Geller, and you'll find John Lash here, of course, and a lot on Stargate St. Louis. We are one of the major Stargates. So where all the hoopla is going on in St. Louis, you see, these are actual portals where energies don't just come in, but they can be swept out too. So it depends on what arises in you that will come to meet you. And yeah, I did a few shows with Randy, but you know, he doesn't even talk to me anymore. I mean, he's just got too many friends, or, you know, he says Suze is really pretty boring. I don't know. I really don't think that's what it is. I hope you guys know that. We have a great something here about position firing from the U.S. National Archives. You guys ought to look up that YouTube channel. It's quite interesting. Oh, yeah. When I go to take care of my pet project, see, I tuck things away that I'm coming for ya, furry face. But just focus, would you, Suze? Play the song. Everybody loves this song.
Is your name really Chris?
And I have permission to use this.
Crispy Bacon.
Crispy Bacon. His name is Crispy Bacon, but I have permission to use this song. They love to ban my videos for no apparent reason, so. Because I'm a troublemaking, redheaded, love-making, hip-shaking, fucking talking machine. I don't know.
Slowly, child is slowly taken. And the violence calls of silence. Who are we mistaken? But you see, it's not me, it's not my family. In your head, you're fighting. Whether tanks and their bombs and their bombs and their guns. In your head, they're crying. In your head, something, what's in your head, Another mother's breaking heart is taking over. When the violence calls us silence, we must be mistaken. It's the same old theme since 1916. In your head, you're still fighting. Whether tanks and their bombs and their bombs and their guns. In your head, they're dying. In your head, something, what's in your head?
Ooh. That's always so deep to me. And I appreciate that so much that I can use this in my shows and not have to sweat it. I want to read you something on the comments section on this one. This is the Canada for a new prime minister 4 months ago. And it says, very well done. I have always loved this song and never seen a cover done for Zombie till now. But I would have to say it's almost as good as the original. I love the silhouette look and the feel it gives in the video. There are 55 replies. I mean, 55, and it is a huge compliment. Oh my goodness, I just want to go and like and love everything. Yo, can I please get a shout out? And also, can I use this music for my video? I bet you they'll let you. You should probably ask, though. That's always polite. Okay, one more recommendation, because sometimes I forget things, but this does go with this show. Oh my goodness, why don't I see you? Huh, that is bullshit. Okay, so you go up to the search bar, right? And you type in the Black Child. This is one of my favorite YouTube guys. He is so cool. I mean, he doesn't bitch and moan and complain. He keeps his composure. He brings his facts, figures, and statistics. And he's so chill. He's not angry or hateful. I mean, and I'll tell you what. Let me do this.
I'm not going to do this.
Oh, yes, I am. Yes, I am going to do this. Okay, so anyhow, I just want you to hear his beautiful voice. And of course, he does his fair use thing. He's not meaning to piss anybody off or cry in their Cheerios. Oh, it's pissing the Cheerios, right. Okay, so here's my point. This is on the news the other morning. And we were sitting there watching it. And it's like, you know, the talent that I've met through Mr. AP and all of his international musician friends. I mean, they're like 5,000 times more talented than the people that are owned. And of course, you know, on their big marathon during the newscast, they were, you know, asking people to give as much as they can. But look at how much money they make. Okay, they're giving their time. Do you see what I'm saying? Now let's see these guys cough up the money. It's kind of like the people that run the corporations that say, hey, we didn't mean to fuck up your water or your earth. We didn't mean to blow you up or give you cancer. But in the meantime, you know, maybe you guys, whoever is exempt that runs these things, should be kicking out your own money too.
We're here to raise money.
And if you got to give up your big ass house, then give it up, my friend. Come live in the ghetto here in Ferguson. You can buy a lot for your money. Get you a mansion for about $200,000. You see what I'm saying? You don't need that much fucking money. No one is that talented. How does this happen? Did you ever ask yourself? I mean, or do you just really think that that's the upper middle class and you're the lower middle class? And if you think Cher's all right, that she's hanging on to Oprah, and if you think that's really Oprah, then y'all are sadly mistaken. I'm not going to tease you. These people have been modified, manipulated, and they're surely controlled. This is bullshit, okay? And I'm sorry. I love a lot of these people. And, you know, sometimes I wonder if they got the needle in the neck and the Stepford wife treatment like in the old movie, or if the devil offers them something and they sell their soul. I mean, we've all thought about this a million times. Well, I would think.
Hurricane Katrina will go down in history as the greatest pet disaster this country has ever seen.
Pet disaster.
Comic Relief's mission is to make sure
I love
that
animals.
such a catastrophe never ever happens again.
You see how
Part
this
of your
plays on
donations
people's
for tonight
emotions.
will go to foster animals that were abandoned during Katrina. Comic Relief.
That is mighty white of
It's
you,
no
dude.
joke.
Right.
I'm very happy to bring out right now the dog you just saw and the woman who saved them, Lois Lerner.
Now, how would the woman and the dog feel if they realized that the hurricane wasn't an act of God and it was actually genetically modified weather and they weaponized it? See, you have to really focus because they hit you with so much at once. Right, the foundation decides where the money goes. I don't know if y'all heard, but down in the Florida Keys, this is a great example. FEMA is keeping out people that want to come help. Now, who made them fucking boss? Oh, a three-letter agency, that's right. See, this is about we the people. It's not really about all these smoke and mirrors.
Houston is your hometown.
Okay, we're bringing Texas.
Where you grew up to be underwater.
We want to basically bring the power of private contributions to the recovery efforts that are happening. And today, our foundation, the Michael and Susan Dell Foundation, is launching the Rebuild Texas Fund. And we are going to basically commit $36 million to really launch an effort to raise over $100 million to rebuild
That
Texas
sounds like
and
shooting craps.
rebuild the
Putting
communities
all
that have
your
been
money
affected
on that
by
one number
Hurricane
and
Harvey.
hoping that spinner lands
What we
on
want to do is inspire everybody to give as much as they can. So with that in mind,
Right.
Michael and I want to encourage everybody to give as much as they can. So for every $2,
And why do you have an
everyone
Adam's
gives
apples?
over this
But
holiday
see, this
weekend,
is not the
we're going to match it
conversation. Okay,
with an
don't do
additional
that,
$1 of our
Suze.
own.
Don't do
With an
that.
additional $2, whatever the $2 that you will match it yourselves.
With
Like that.
another- with another
two-
dollar. So-
dollar for dollar.
$18 million goes in today.
This was really
with
creepy.
rescuers saw Jordan's pink knapsack bobbing in the water.
Is her skin
When they
real?
pulled her out, Jordan was shivering, traumatized, and missing her mama.
Mama.
For how long this little girl held on alone, we'll never know.
Okay,
But as mothers,
back to these sad stories. These sad ass stories. See, they want you to believe
all we
that
want
it
is
was
to
an
keep our
accident.
children safe.
But if
Now
you
it's up to
can
all of
prove
us
with
to take
facts,
care of
figures,
their precious
statistics,
faith
timelines,
and everyone affected
and
by this
countless
devastating
people bringing together evidence that shows that it's premeditated. I mean, do you see how the money keeps filtering back to the people that are fucking us all? The ones that want the population down to 500 million globally? You know, it used to be called Agenda 21. And you tell me that's Beyonce's same face and I will kiss your butt. And don't tell me that's just plastic surgery. I am so sick of acting like this shit is normal. I'm with the black child. I like this dude. He puts his stuff
Now, the
together
damage
well.
is just beginning to be calculated, but we know countless homes.
Did you
and
guys know that you
businesses
can
have
take
been damaged or
images
destroyed.
off of
Power
the
outages
free
caused
airwaves and
nearly
actually
8
put them
million
together
after the storm.
in a
10
manner
weeks before
to,
power can be fully restored.
I would say, hold them to a higher standard where they say, oh shit, they're on to us.
25% of the homes
Maybe we should act like
destroyed, while 500 miles
A little
away,
more
the city of
professional or a little
Jacksonville
less
was
owned
destroyed.
or
Damage and
I don't know.
destruction dotting the landscape everywhere in between and beyond. Even tonight, Irma's remnants are hammering.
yeah,
other parts
Irma
of the
and all
city.
these other hurricanes. You still don't really want to deal with the truth, you guys. I mean, on TV.
Right now,
They know.
this moment, dial 1-800-258-6000.
Who's
Call us
this?
toll free in the U.S. and Canada, or
They're
go
all
to
there.
handinhand2017.com to donate.
Could you imagine if each one of them gave $1 million or $5 million?
Together to help us best we can. These days, it seems as if one issue is ending and another is beginning.
Right, each day a different issue. Each day another tragedy. Done on purpose, so we don't have a flippin' second to think about anybody other than our own boo-hoo selves. Perfect example, and then I promise I'm done. But you know what? It is all relevant. So, not that, but we're gonna end with this. And I'm with my buddy, Kenedra, in St. Louis. And I say, hoping the St. Louis media and those who sit in high places realize that no matter what city you call home, making a good appearance should never override the truth of the systematic destruction of the infrastructure, be it the shell which protects your shell or the nut who seeks to crack you up. And of course, this is shared to the group Truth, Honor, and Integrity, home of Thomas Williams, by Valerie Schwab Dunn. And it says, not surprised by this. They released 80,000 cubic feet of water per second at 2 a.m. earlier than planned and did not notify authorities. This is my community of Kingwood, Texas. Thomas mentioned it in his last week's show that the Red Cross has not been seen in the area. They're probably afraid to at this point. A big part of the flooding was in an affluent area, and 1,000 of the homes flooded were valued between $750,000 and $1 million plus. Now that's not her neighborhood, and she's not affluent, but it wasn't a trailer park either, she says. Only can hope there's going to be hell to pay for this. So it's River Authority says flooding has led to death threats. How about that? ABC 13. Now see, this is why people are pissed and want to hurt people, is because they're destroying people's lives on purpose. Bottom line, man. So, peace, love, and light from the big yellow house on the third cosmic ray. And don't forget, the power of love is way mightier, and it will slay these dirty SOBs. So, talk soon, guys. Thanks for being here once again. Good night.